Welcome to the Nebraska Land Bank podcast.
I'm Ty.
I'm David.
I'm Danielle, and we're your hosts. In each episode, we'll sit down with local guests to highlight the incredible people and stories that make our community unique.
From finance to sports, community events to local businesses, we've got it all covered. Join us as we dive into the heart of our community.
This is the Nebraska Land Bank podcast, always community-minded.
Every voice,
Every topic,
every time.
so turn the volume up, settle in,
and
let's talk Nebraska land. All right, welcome back into another edition of the Nebraska Land Bank podcast. Danielle Remus, Ty Lucas, I'm David Fudge. And Ty, one of our favorite subjects to talk about always is food.
Oh, yeah. I love to talk about food.
And it's
Obviously.
It's even better now because today we get to talk about pizza, which is something I really like. In fact, I had some of the pizza. The subject pizza we're going to talk about, I had some the other night when we got home from out of town, and it's like you don't want to mess around. You don't want to cook. You just want to call somebody and have them take care of it. I know you know what I'm talking about too, right, Danielle?
Oh, at least a couple times a week.
Well, but don't forget about the world's greatest extra food group, chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
Chicken
It's
wings.
almost like a food group in and of itself, correct?
Yeah, they're magical.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you do the introduction because you know these folks pretty well, and we're going to talk a lot about their story today and some of the things going on in their world, but because it's fascinating. So let's just dive right into it. Ty, go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Well, we're very excited today to have Josh and Jen Kramer, the owners and operators of Dave's Place of North Platte, a very beloved restaurant. It's a pillar of the community. So welcome to the podcast studio.
Thanks for having us, Ty.
Yes, thank you very much.
David and Danielle.
We also have a little special extra guest today, too. You guys
We
want to
do.
Tell us about that, Josh?
Yep, we have Christian Robert. He's 2.5 months old, and he's currently sleeping like a baby.
So sweet. Our first baby on the podcast.
I'm pretty excited about that.
I always wished I could sleep like that these days again. It's been a long time since I've been able to sleep that way and in that manner. So I'm actually really excited about your icebreaker question today because I'm anxious to hear some of the answers around the room. So
I am too.
Dive right into that.
All right. So we always open with an icebreaker question. We go around the room and answer it. And today's is, what's one kitchen tool or gadget you can't live without and why? And David, since you're so excited, let's start with you.
My air fryer.
Oh my gosh, that's a great one. I didn't even think
So
about that.
I bought one of these combo air fryer toaster oven things that does everything from bake bread to air fry, and we use it 5-6 times a week.
Yeah, ours broke, and we've been without for probably 3 weeks, and it's life-changing.
Yeah, it is.
I'm lost without this thing.
I know. And I didn't even own one of these things till like a year ago, and now I can't live without it.
Yeah. Do you have one, Ty?
No, I'm kind of old school about stuff, but I'm getting a lot of peer pressure on it, though.
I think, yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Mine is, first of all, I don't enjoy cooking that much. It's a chore. It's not something that I enjoy. But one thing I love is the chopper, so like onions or whatever veggies you're chopping to put in something, you just like put it in there and then you...
Like the motorized version, like food processor, or more like a manual one?
A manual one where you like dice stuff.
There's also some frustration that gets exercised when you're pounding on that mechanism too and chopping whatever it is you're trying to chop.
That's true.
Yeah.
The cleaning is not so fun.
No.
But...
No.
I prefer that over chopping meat.
Let's go to Jen next.
Well, if we're talking about our business, I would tell you the dough maker, definitely. I could never live without that. That's my number one thing, let's be honest. Now, if we're talking about at my home, my Keurig. I cannot live without it.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
I mean, good gosh, 4 kids and a husband. I need it.
So on the dough maker, I'm imagining like this big bowl with like a hook in it or something. Is that
Absolutely.
exactly what it is?
Yes.
And all the dough's made
freshly.
in-house?
I did
Yes,
not know
yes.
that. That's
Every day.
Wow.
It's my job.
You're the dough person.
I'm the dough maker.
I got to think there's a fairly big secret recipe there and some skill involved. I mean, Dave's Place dough's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
Yes.
It is so
Yep.
good.
Yeah. All right, Josh.
Yep, for me, it's we have this cheese slicer at home, and I'm pretty particular of how thick the cheese gets. And I don't like when you get to the end and one side of the cheese is really long and the other side is really narrow. And then it obviously doesn't cut up into perfect slices. So that would be my tool at home that I
Just can't live without that one.
Yeah, well, I probably can live without it, but
but why?
Why? Yeah, yeah.
Hey, if that's important and the cheese is the same thickness and all that, he could have banker skills, just for the record. That's a little bit
I know.
particular detail oriented. I like it. Yeah. My turn?
Yeah. What I'm anxious to hear this one, actually.
Okay. I'm going with the garlic press because working with whole garlic's just better than what comes in the jar, but cutting it up
It isn't much fun.
isn't much fun. So the garlic press, you know what that is, Danielle?
Do I look puzzled? Because
You
I
look
have no idea.
Oh, well, I know what I'm getting you for your birthday now. So it's this, I'm trying to think what it looks like. It's just
it looks like a pair of pliers.
a pair of pliers, yeah, a pair of pliers.
But you stick a clove
Stick
of
a whole
garlic in
piece
it.
of garlic in it, and you press it together. That's the name, garlic press. And it comes out as all chopped up like you'd get in a jar. But
Really? Like it minces it?
Oh, yeah?
yeah, but you only have to use about half as much as you use out of the jar because it's
Fresh.
more fresh and tasteful. So there you go. You guys have got to walk us through how you became the owners of Dave's Place and maybe what you were doing before that.
As my occupation was an insurance adjuster, still is. That's what I've been doing for the past 13, 14 years. Also do a lot of reffing, a lot of coaching, high school level in with the kids. Yeah, and how we kind of got into Dave's Place was we would go there after a football game or basketball game or one date night, you'd end up there and we'd always look at each other after a few drinks and say, we're gonna own this place someday. And all our friends, we'd kind of mumble about it to our friends and I think everybody thought we were crazy and joking, but there was some truth to it, I guess. So
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I worked at Maple Park Dental I started as a dental assistant, and then I moved up and started doing insurance and just more with the customers. And yeah, Josh and I decided one day that and it's true. We would tell all of our friends, we'd be like, we're going to own this. And they'd just be like, you guys are crazy. Why would you ever want this? Like, this is going to be a lot of work. And we'd be like, yeah, but won't it be fun? Like, we can always have parties and it'll just be fun and kids can come. And so it came for sale. And I remember texting my dad and Josh and who's game? Then rest is history.
I remember an episode we did earlier this year. Kind of a similar story. Some people are sitting around the table and go, "But we're going to own that." We were talking to Jim and Janelle Hawks. What goes through your mind though when you're thinking about going from working in a dental office or as an insurance adjuster to, hey, we're going to own a restaurant? That's not a normal career path move, I would think. But
trust me, we had no idea what was all in store for us.
yes,
Those first 2 months were a lot. I think I cried more in those 2 months than ever. I just had no idea. Josh was still working. My dad had no idea. We were just kind of handed everything. But then I think you think it's going to be a lot of fun, which it's getting to that point now that we've got our hands wrapped around everything and we have a great staff and everything's moving smoothly for us. But yes, we were crazy, I felt like, for the first 2 months. I was like, oh my goodness.
So backing up, when Dave's Place came for sale, what was that conversation like? I mean, was it something you just jumped on, or did you have to take some time to talk through it and think about it?
It came open. I remember reading Bob Alberry's post on Facebook that literally it was for sale.
It was on a Friday.
Friday morning. Friday at lunch, Jen and I, which doesn't happen typically, were home at the same time eating lunch. And I'm like, Jen, you did see Bob's post, right? And she's like, yeah, I saw Bob's post. And I think at that point I texted my banker and I said, can we do this? And he said yes. And so we talked about it Friday night, talked about it Saturday, and Sunday we had it bought. That's how quick it went.
Wow.
We were just worried that somebody else was going to hop on it, and we wanted it to be ours, so we had to take action.
Well, it's probably a fair concern. I mean, the business has a tremendous history here, doesn't it? Do you want to go through that quickly, a little bit, the history of the business?
Yeah, Dave obviously was started by Dave Williams, and actually it started out as a Godfather's downtown, and I don't know exactly why or how, but he then moved it out to East 4th, where we currently are, and just selling great pizza. And then here, I'm not sure exactly the date or year, but then Bob Alberry, the previous owner to us, introduced the chicken wings to the menu, which obviously is a great seller for us. And those are the two that we're known for, is the pizza and wings. But there are other items on the menu, which actually, funny thing about that, I didn't even know Dave's Place sold burgers until I literally owned the place, you know. It's like you don't know what you sell, but you own the place, you know. So, actually the burgers are really good too. But yeah, it's got a good history. Been with the community for, I think it was maybe 60s in there where Dave started it up. So yeah, it's been with or maybe 70s, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's been a staple in the community for a long time.
I remember the location on the one-ways back in the day. It'd be about where Whitetail is at today, but was it in the building that's...
Yeah, Whitetail, Jones Law Office. I'm not sure exactly, but it was,
Right
it was
in
down
there.
right there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, before we go into these cool future plans and the excitement coming down the road, I got an off-script question here for you. There's kind of a little bit of a secret menu or ordering thing that goes on at Dave's Place. Is that right? So, you know, In-N-Out Burger has their little secret menu. McDonald's has those off items. I was with somebody not long ago, and they told me about ordering it Dave's way. Tell us about this.
Yes, this is Josh.
Okay, so yeah, Dave's Way, or known as Dave's Done, is just a little, it's just having your pizza done a little bit crispier, I guess you would say. We've had some friends, actually, we do sell cauliflower crust, and they said that's the best. You know, it's funny, we were actually in there at the same time they were one time, and I said, I looked over, I said, man, your pizzas looks awfully done. They go, yeah, it's exactly how we ordered it. Dave's Done. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting.
A little bit of an urban legend secret there, right?
Yeah, that's a new one. I mean, I've heard of some of the other stuff you can do around town, but that's a new one. I had not heard that one before.
Is there anything else in the secret menu environment, or is that it?
Got to be some like wing sauce combo. You know, the other icebreaker we could have used, your go-to wing flavor.
Oh, sweet Thai chili.
Mine's
See, that
mango
didn't-
habanero.
Oh, yes.
So good.
Yes, mango's good.
Josh, this is really stressing
Well,
you.
my wife kind of already took mine. We're sweet Thai chili, so my second favorite would be the medium.
Yeah, I'm with the medium as well, but I will say the Sparky's is pretty solid too.
All right, underrated. I discovered it the other night, Korean barbecue. The Korean barbecue is solid.
Do you know I've not tried those yet?
What?
I know.
It was so good.
And I have to tell you, our blue cheese dry rub, I know some people hate blue cheese, but I have got my kids now like obsessed with them. That's the only way they'll go.
If you like blue cheese, it's
the
literally
best.
tastes exactly like blue cheese.
Never
It's
tried
great.
those.
So I
Yeah,
don't like
I'm
it.
anxious to try those.
How did we not line up a wing sampling with this podcast?
Well,
I know we should have scheduled over the lunch hour. What were we thinking?
Oh,
Missed
my
opportunity
goodness.
for
Oh,
sure.
geez.
Slackers.
So you're full time in the business, it sounds like, Jen, and
Yes.
are you still doing insurance then also?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm still an insurance adjuster. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So how has it been so far? You've mentioned the first couple months were pretty rough, but what is something that surprised you about the restaurant industry that you just weren't prepared for?
Honestly, number one problem I feel like is just keeping staff. Our kitchen staff has been awesome. That's who we rotate more, I feel like, through employees. We have had 3 that have stayed with us since the start, and we couldn't do without those 3. Our servers, on the other hand, we've kept almost all of them. We've come and gone through with some of them, but right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I would say our like every business is right now, struggling with help. But for the most part, I feel like we're probably, very lucky for what we have and what we've retained and across the board, whether it's kitchen staff or servers. And like Jen says, you can't be at the business 24/7. So you have to have good, reliable help that is willing to show up and kind of act as you in your absence, and making good, solid decisions, because you just can't physically do from 8 in the morning till 10, 11 at night when we close down. So
Yeah. And we are a family business, so I've always told my staff our family will come first, and as the same with them. If they have family stuff going on, we've come in and helped so they can go to that stuff with their family, because that's important. That should be how it should be, and that's what we strive for.
Well, for what it's worth, as outsiders, we never noticed a rough transition. I mean, I've been a once-a-month customer at Dave's Place like my entire life, other than the 9 years I lived away from North Platte. And I've not heard or seen anything where anybody saw a rough patch in the transition. So that's a tremendous credit to you guys, because the food business is tough.
Yeah. So, and when you take over a brand like that that's well established, I mean, there probably is. How do you balance that? Have you made any changes to the business, or have you just tried to, like, there's nothing wrong with it, just keep the ship right down the center of the lane?
Very, very small changes. Don't fix what's not broke type deal. And we made a few changes here and there. Obviously, like everybody does, to kind of make it your own. But as far as just a regular customer coming in, unless you specifically ordered something kind of off keel, on the menu, that would be maybe the only thing that you might be able to find.
Yeah. We took off like hot dog and chili because it was driving our
Kitchen staff
nuts. I'm like, we can handle taking off a hot dog and some chili. Nobody really comes to Dave's for that.
Right.
But yeah, we really haven't changed a whole lot.
Now, hours are a little different, aren't they? They're just a shade different. I was thinking that maybe it's open a little earlier.
So we decided to open on Sundays the same as we did on Saturdays, from 11 to 11. And it's kind of a hit or miss. Some Sundays we're super busy, and some Sundays we have 2 or 3 people that come in. But yeah, we did that. And then during the week, it's still the same, I think, 4 to 10.
What do your kids think of being in the industry, or mom working at the restaurant?
Yes, our 6 and 3-year-old absolutely love it. They will be my waitresses as soon as they possibly can. They like to go in and bus tables and see the staff and all the customers. And yes, our 15-year-old, he actually worked there last summer to help us. That was until he decided this summer to try to tackle 23 lawns and be in football, basketball, and every other thing. So he's kind of backed off, but he likes to come and bring his friends and hang out and watch football sometimes. And I think that's kind of fun for us. And yeah, and this little guy just gets taken wherever.
Yeah. Has he learned how to cook pizzas yet? That's the important question.
He will.
Soon.
Yes. He's going to have the full food service CEO training in his lifetime here. Yeah.
Born into it, literally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
So, and I don't want you to get into all of it, but like one of the major changes, talk about what's going on in your world right now. I mean, you've got, you're in a location where you've been for a long time. There's been a decision made to move that location. What went into all that? What are some of the things that you're working on right now to kind of get ready for that?
So the main thing is we wanted to own our building. I don't make a very good tenant, and so we in order to upgrade, and I didn't want to fix somebody else's building, I guess would be another way to say it. And so we approached the owner of the building, and he was not willing to sell to us. And so at that point, we started exploring some of our options. And some of our friends actually were the ones that pointed the new building, which is the old Trends building where we will be moving, out to me one day. And I just instantly laughed, and I said, that will never work. And so then I would check the for sale sites, and I came across it one day, and just opened it up, and I noticed that they had done some remodeling or tearing things out, and I was like, well, I can kind of see this. I'm like, it's starting to get a little closer to our price range. I'm like, whoa, what the heck, let's go look at it. And so, yeah, currently we're in the process of, we got the plans drawn. The architect is talking to the engineers, trying to get their blessing, and then we'll be able to start getting bids put out and getting the city's approval and whatnot into that. So, yeah, crazy thing. I was just telling Jen this. We will literally be cooking pizzas where I used to get my hair cut. So, yeah, like the pizza oven is going in the station where I used to be. So,
So how much work do you have to do to the building to get it ready?
Josh has been in there in the last month, just tearing up walls. It's all going to be pretty open. And then, like he said, we just kind of wait and go from there.
It doesn't seem like much when you're just glancing at it, and then you start looking at it, and then you realize all the, the plumbing and electrical, getting outlets to where TVs are going to be, and then of course your regular drywall and painting and trim work. Obviously the big one for us is the kitchen, so there'll be more work than what I probably want to admit at times, but we're really hoping the reward is there at the end. So
Yeah.
Where's the kitchen going?
the kitchen will be on the west wall.
So that
Can
used
you
to be
see I
where the
don't deal with all
refrigerators
this,
were, and
Danielle?
when that was Pearson's Appliance.
Yeah.
Walk in there and the fridge line was over there. Because I'm old enough to remember when that was an appliance store.
Yeah, and just to make sure our listeners know exactly what we're talking about, so this would be the old Pearson Appliance, which was then remodeled into Trends, right? And
Yep.
so this would be on Francis,
Yep.
just a little bit north of the Walmart area, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great location.
It really
Yeah.
is a great location.
Yeah, and thinking about how our community is developing, I mean, that's probably going to be a pretty good hub of activity right there with some of the housing things that are going on in our town. I mean, did that factor into the decision to go into there?
A little bit. We just wanted to own our own place, so we weren't fixing other people's problems.
Yeah, and to the question, it didn't hurt. The building was there, like Jen said, and we liked the building. And then it's like, okay, we like the building and we like the location. Therefore, this makes a good spot to
Right.
move Dave's.
So I didn't realize that it had additional parking. I thought that it only had those spots on the front and the side, because I've been in there a couple of times for kids' haircuts. But so you've got the whole lot that's to the west of the building,
East of the
east of the
side.
building.
Yep. That was probably our biggest
Is there a lot on the
comment
west?
from people
There's a
was,
little one.
where's all the where are you going to park people? And like what you said, Danielle, they didn't realize that whole east parking lot over there, or that whole lot, is technically ours. So
Yeah.
people will be able to park over there too.
Yeah, there's more room there than what you really think there is. And the
Yeah.
building's larger than it appears from the front as well. It's a pretty good sized structure.
How does the size compare to your current location?
It's a tad bit smaller, but it would just be taking out, like, if you took out our front area with the big table that we currently have, that's what we'd be missing. So
And you've got like some video games in there now, and like a pickup counter, and there's a couple bathrooms up there at the moment. I think, isn't
yep.
there? Yeah.
And the new place will have a new kid plays. That'll be nice, kind of hidden. It'll be open, but
Yeah.
which will be nice. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Now, I'm somebody that kind of likes old school places, and so I always get a little nervous when these moves go on, because Dave's Place is such a comfortable place. Tell us how that's going to transition into the new location.
We are going to keep it as dive as we can possibly.
I love
That's what I
it.
wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear.
Because that's why we
Comfortable
like
was a
Dave's,
really
let's be honest.
good word, Ty.
Yeah. Okay, good. All's good with the world now.
But we
Yeah.
all love our dive places here.
We
in
do.
North
They're
Platte,
fun. So yes, we're going to keep it as dark as we can, and it'll just be a little bit sprucey upper. Is that a word? Sprucey upper?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's actually a great way to describe it. No.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. I mean, you call it whatever you want. Yeah.
Will you take the games and the pool table over? Will those still be in the new?
The pool tables we are not going to take over, but yes, we are taking games. Yes.
Which I think is one of the fun things for as a parent too. When you go and you take your kids, they can kind of like be entertained and leave
Right.
their parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I
go.
think that's
We
great.
can have a little time. They can have a little fun, and then
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
awesome.
I'd be in the camp of getting rid of the pool. I remember when, in particular, my youngest son Max was little. I was scared to death he was going to throw a pool
And they
ball in
do.
that place.
The kids do, don't they? I mean, my kids certainly have.
Well, they like to take the toys from the money or
The
the
quarter
little,
machines.
Yeah, the
Oh,
quarter
yeah.
machines.
And stick 'em down.
Stick 'em in there. And then the people who really want to come play pool can't play pool. So it's really pointless that we have a pool table. Or they're like my 3-year-old who thinks that it's a dancing table and gets on it. And yeah. So.
Well, we all wondered kind of how that would go, and I'm to Ty's point, I'm glad to hear that you're going to try and keep a lot of that feel moving
Yes.
over there. That's probably important to a lot of your customers, I suspect.
Yes.
Will the menu remain the same and everything else kind of status quo?
So the only thing that we so far have really talked about changing is we're going to be open for lunch. We'll have a limited menu. My husband really would like to do, get a warmer and put pizza, burgers, just for people who quickly want to swing by, grab something,
Grab and go type thing. Yeah.
So that's our main thing that we are really looking forward to. And eventually, like hopefully in 10 years, we can do like a patio and a
Yeah.
party room. And, I'm looking further down. But yes, those are our goals so far.
Well, it's going to be. I'm sure it'll be a lot of work. Probably a lot of reward on the end of it. Certainly establishing one of your goals of making sure that you've got a place to call your own, and I, speaking from experience, that's something every business owner would like to have, is just a place of their own.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Before we get into a couple final questions for them, should we do a little bit of a pivot and go to your favorite segment, Danielle, the Asking for a Friend?
Asking for a friend. So today's question, and you guys feel free to join the conversation, but what are some important considerations when selecting a business structure, like sole proprietorship, LLC, and corporation? And then how does that affect how you should handle your business checking account?
Oh, that's a great question. Now, first, the disclaimer for our compliance department is that I'm not a licensed attorney,
Yep.
nor is David. And so we're just going to talk in generalities from a banking view, and we always recommend people talk to their accountant and attorneys about it. But in general, a lot of business owners form corporations, in particular S corporations or smaller corporations that are like partnerships, or LLCs are very popular. In Nebraska, they're generally pretty easy to form, especially LLCs, and they're pretty easy to manage, especially LLCs. Now, S corporations or regular corporations get used for different reasons, and that's an important CPA question because of how self-employment tax gets managed. So, somebody really needs to talk to their accountant about whether they should form an LLC or a corporation. We're not going to dive into that division very deeply. But we really encourage people to look at using business entities when they buy a business or form a business, because if they're going to transition to one at a future point in time, a lot of times it's easier to do it out of the gate when they get started. But it's not for everybody, because there are some costs associated with it. You're often filing an additional tax return, you have some filing fees and some legal fees. One of the advantages of a business entity is that it is intended to give you a little thicker wall of liability, because you do have a functioning entity, and that business has a little more flexibility with changes of ownership. So, for example, like if I was going to add a partner or eliminate a partner or take an investor, it's a little easier if you have a business entity structure, right? David, what do you want to add on this?
Well, and when we went through this, it all a little bit boiled down in our accountants' minds of how are you going to pay yourself, right? If you're going to be as a business owner operator, if you're going to be paying yourself as a W-2 employee, there's some advantages to doing that over some other methods. So I would echo what Ty said, which is talk to your accountant and to your lawyer and get some understanding of how you want the thing to function, and then they can point you in the right direction. That's really the best advice anybody can give on that. So.
Yeah, and we can open business checking accounts for corporations, partnerships, sole proprietorship. So from our standpoint, it's really just about taking the banking services and customizing them to the way that it's right for you to own your business. Do you guys mind us asking, how did you guys make decisions about how to own your business?
Yep, just like you touched, we consulted our attorney and accountant, and they basically told us what David said. That how are you going to pay yourself, and how that how you're going to structure that, I guess. And then also, the question with the new building was, are you going to form another LLC and rent the building back to and all that. So yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of ways to do it, and consult a professional, and yeah.
And there's no really right or wrong answer. We see it both ways, where you'll have a property management company, and the business entity will rent the facility back from them, and so on and so forth. And then we see some that just own it all together, and it's just about whatever works best for you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. One of the fun things in our business is, we've been doing this long enough here, is to when you start to sometimes see some of those generational changes. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if your son or one of the girls or whatnot got involved in the business down the road, well, maybe I still want to own the real estate, but the next generation wants to own half of the business or something like that. Those entity structures give you the ability to divide things up a little bit, and I think that's one of the advantages. Does that answer your question fairly well?
I think so, yeah. And then as far as the considerations when you're picking a checking, does it depend on what kind of structure you choose or the size of your business?
So business checking accounts and savings accounts are generally created based off their level of activity and their needs for electronic platforms, check writing, fraud prevention. So we really focus first on the functionality of what goes on in the account, and then we can mold any account structure to a corporation, partnership, LLC, sole proprietorship, or however people choose to own things. So
great. So when we were talking about advice, it kind of made me think, what advice would you guys give to somebody who's interested in either purchasing a business or starting a business from the ground up, from your experience? Don't do it. Just kidding.
Actually, the opposite. Do it.
Do it. Yeah.
It's so rewarding. We just look at our business, and I don't know, Josh and I always talk about it with our kids seeing us. Our motto is always work hard, play harder, And
I always have to remind the kids which order that comes. You work hard first, and then you play harder.
But yeah.
Well, that's really great advice, and I suspect you'd better be a little bit passionate about what you're doing too, and really believe in that sort of thing.
That's a great comment. I actually said when we bought Dave's Place, it has the best pizza and wings in town. That I'm passionate about that. I truly believe that. So it's easy for me to say that to customers or people that are, what do you question me about Dave's Place? Well, I truly believe we have the best pizza and wings in town, so it's easier for me to portray that than it would be if I was just, didn't truly believe it.
Yeah.
And your little guy has comments about
yes.
that
Yeah,
too. But it sounds. It sounds like that's one of your driving factors too. Is it affords you the opportunity to bring your little guy to work and really incorporate family into your daily lives, work lives too.
Yes. I definitely could not be doing what we are doing, working an 8-to-5 job. I tell Josh that all the time. Yes. I might have to get up at 5 a.m. to go make dough, but I don't miss any of my kids' things. And it's just been very, like I said, very rewarding for us.
To talk about some promotional things a little bit for things that are going on in your business, maybe share with us any special nights like wing night or promotional things or football games or anything you want to share with listeners who don't know your business like we do, to when they should try your business out.
So yeah, we have a special every night. So we'll just, I guess, except for Sunday and Saturday. So every weeknight. So Mondays are burger night, $2 off burgers. Tuesdays are wing night. You get 12 wings for $10. Or did I say that backwards?
No, 10 wings
10
for
wings
$12.
for $12. I always get that backwards. And Wednesdays are nacho night. It's $3 off a large nacho. Nachos are awesome. Thursday, calzones, $2 off calzones. And yeah,
Fridays just come in after the game.
Friday,
No
no special Fridays either. So really, we'll go back to Monday through Thursday specials.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then obviously we always have Husker games on Saturdays, Fridays. Irish, North Platte High. We get that question a lot too. Can you stream this game or that game? Yes, we can. It just has to be set up for us a little bit, as far as being put on YouTube or whatnot. And then obviously if we have enough TVs, so we try and promote the surrounding area sports is the best we can.
Very cool.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can't remember if you answered this question earlier or not. Is there a timeline for when the move will happen to the new location?
We're hoping this spring, but
just dependent on work and Gotcha.
I was really hoping for Super Bowl, but I don't think my wish is going to happen.
It's always good to have a goal.
I know.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, that wraps up our episode. A huge thank you to Jen and Josh Kramer for joining us today, and their little guy, Christian. As Dave's Place Pizza embarks on this exciting new chapter, be sure to support them. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, subscribe, and share with your friends. For more episodes, visit nebraskalandbank.com/podcast. Member FDIC.